All right. Love you. Bye bye.
Well, that's a very good question. She says that
injuries, but we heard from other people who testified, like Alejandro Romero, Isaac Baruch. They did not see any injuries on Amber Heard's face. Officers did not see any injuries on Amber Heard's face. There was a question of whether or not Amber Heard covered up these alleged bruises from Johnny Depp with makeup, and Amber Heard was on the stand and explained a little bit more about that. Take a look.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about as a color correction kit. This is not obviously the exact one I used to carry, but I used to carry it with me all the time. Sometimes this pink is sometimes a little bit more purple of a hue, and sometimes the kits are 3 colors. You can get them in 3 or 4 colors. Sometimes they have even more. But the idea is that you want to counteract whatever color you're working with on the bruise. So the first day of bruising, well, the immediate is red. Red is what shows up right away, so you want to go with the opposite on the color wheel by dabbing on a bit of the green or something to counteract the red. After a day or 2, you get more purple in a bruise, so you'd obviously have to go with more of the red tones, the orange tones here. Day 2 for me was always the trickiest because day 2 just, I feel like, well, day 1 and day 2 are hardest for me because that's when you get the most blues and purples and you have to deal with the sensitivity. Bruises don't like to be touched. That's the whole point. So that's the trickiest part. But after a few days, that becomes more of that blue becomes more of a brown, yellowish browns, like 5-7 days in, becomes more of a yellow-green, and then fades into a brown and then into your skin. And whatever color you're working with in the bruise, you want to go opposite color on the color wheel. The opposite, in the first couple of days when you have more of the typical bruise color, the blues and the purples, you want to go more of the orange on the color wheel as opposed to the greens that you start with. And then it progresses from there. I also noticed that bruising on your face tends to heal a lot faster than, at least for me, it was faster healing than bruises on my body, or at least it seemed like that to me. And a nose is pretty much unrecognizable after a day or 2, depending on how much you ice it. Lips are the hardest because they crack and bleed, of course, but it's easy to hide with lipstick if you're a woman, or if you wear lipstick, I suppose.
We heard some testimony of people in the week of May 21st to 27th saying that you didn't wear a stitch of makeup. Oh, was that true?
Objection, hearsay. Overruled. They just don't know what they're talking about. I always wear makeup.
Okay. You always wear makeup?
It's part of my bathroom routine in the morning. Wash my face. I put on moisturizer. My moisturizer has tinted foundation in it, and I'm certainly not going to walk around LA with bruises on my face.
Okay.
Matt, as much as I love you, I am going to Jenny on this question. Jenny, is she telling the truth about makeup and these concealers and the tinted foundation and how you correct bruise? Because again, we actually have chatters who have been following this and saying, it's a kit that you use to actually create bruises, not to cover them up. So where do you stand on that?
So the kit that was used that she's showing, yes, that is what you use usually to, if there's redness, you use green to counteract that. That's the typical makeup trick. That's something that women use for blemishes. So what she was saying was in fact true. Something that I would have rather seen plaintiff's counsel do a little bit more of, something that with Hollywood stars, is that they get Botox, they get filler, I think Amber has had a nose job or something. Those can cause bruises on your face as well. If you get filler or Botox under your eyes, you'll have bruising there. So typically you can cover that up with makeup. So that's something I would have rather seen a little bit flushed out from plaintiff's counsel.
Wait a second. Celebrities get work done? What
I
are you
know.
talking? That's it,
Believe it or
Jenny.
not.
I can't believe anything you're saying. All right, let's just move on. So I will tell you, though, the testimony of Melanie Iglesias, the Amber Heard's makeup artist, this was very powerful, in my opinion. Let's play what she had to say, because she said that she actually covered up bruises of Amber Heard before a James Corden appearance in 2015. Take a look.
On December 16, 2015, did you return to Amber Heard's penthouse?
Yes.
And why did you come to Amber Heard's penthouse on December 16?
It was the James Corden show. She had an appearance, so I went back to work.
And when you arrived at the penthouse on December 16, please describe for me what you observed about Amber Heard's face and any injuries.
When I came to the penthouse on December 16 to do Amber's makeup, she had injuries. She had two light, like, I don't know how, I don't know, I mean, I'm not a medical expert, I don't know how I would describe them, but it could have looked like somebody had headbutted her lightly, so she had a discoloration here, under both eyes, and on the bridge of the nose, and she had what I would call a split lip, or something on the lip, like a gash or a split lip.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to look at what has been marked as exhibit number 11. Do you recognize this photo as being Amber Heard's head?
Yes.
Okay. And could you please describe for me what this photo is showing?
It's showing a chunk of missing hair.
And what, if anything, did you observe on December 16 about Amber Heard missing a chunk of hair?
I remember this because she showed it to us, and I looked at it.
Okay. And can you describe what is depicted right along her scalp there?
I don't know.
Do you recall that there was some bruising along the scalp and some pus, for lack of a better word?
I don't recall.
Could you please describe what you did by way of makeup to prepare Amber Heard for the James Corden show on December 16, 2015?
Yes, we covered, you know, I just did makeup, but just a little heavier where it needed. So we covered, you know, the discoloration, the bruises, with a little slightly heavier concealer, one that has a little more of a peach undertone, which I would normally don't use on Amber, but peach do cancel blue. So I did that under the eyes, and although Amber always, you know, has a red lip, is one of the signature look, I remember clearly talking that we had no other option that night but then to use a red blood, like a really red lipstick, to, you know, make sure we could cover up the injuries on the lip.
And were you able to cover all of the injuries with the makeup that you applied and as you just described?
Yes.
Ms. Iglesias, if you could look at what has been marked as exhibit number 22, do you recognize Amber Heard in that picture?
Yes.
Okay. And is this the picture of her, is this a picture of her that evening, December 16, 2015, on the James Corden show?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you observe on the difference in Amber Heard's demeanor before the show and then on the show?
That she had the ability to, you know, turn it on, that she, you know, the ability to do her job and perform how she was supposed to perform on the show.
And prior to Amber going on the show, and while you were working with her on her makeup, how would you describe Amber's mood and demeanor?
Angry, sad, a little erratic.
Okay, so Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong, all right? But when I host a podcast called Sidebar with Anjanette Levy, and I did an episode where I talked about the 3 biggest wins for Amber Heard, I put this down as testimony that was a win for Amber Heard. I found this to be really important. You have an outsider who's talking about using makeup correction, talked about what she observed. She doesn't have an immediate, bias that you could see. Obviously, she's an Amber Heard witness, but I found this to be really powerful. What was your take on it?
I think it was very powerful because it's good corroboration about the injuries she alleged to have sustained from one of the incidents, most notably the one right near the James Corden appearance. For me, when she's speaking, it comes off credible, it comes off believable. There's photographic evidence, obviously, as to her scalp. And what she's saying is like, yeah, we had to cover up bruises, and I was really impressed by her that having just sustained those injuries, that she was able to appear on the James Corden show as the movie star Scarlett she was intended to be. So for me, yeah, it absolutely was a win for Amber Heard's side on that.
And remember, Amber Heard had alleged that Johnny Depp headbutted her. So you have what Iglesias said, basically saying the same thing. You have these injuries that she said she covered up. You have the photographs. That seemed to be an important point for Amber Heard's side. Maybe the jury is ultimately considering it. Let's take a break. When we come back, Stacey Delicat live from Fairfax County, Virginia. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial, currently in verdict watch. And right now, let's go to Stacey Delicat, who is live in Fairfax County, Virginia, outside of the Fairfax County Courthouse, where the jurors will continue their deliberations behind her. Stacey, good to see you once again. What's the latest? What can you tell us about what's maybe happening inside that courthouse and what's happening also outside the courthouse?
Well, hey there, Jesse. We learned that deliberations started a little later this morning, closer to 9:30. The judge had some other stuff going on her docket, but the jurors are now behind closed doors, resuming the deliberations where they left off yesterday around 5 o'clock. Outside, there's a lot of media, and we aren't seeing nearly the circus that we saw in the past. This was sort of the same scene yesterday. I would argue even sort of fewer supporters of Heard and Depp outside today. Maybe one reason, in addition to the heat, is that we now know Johnny Depp has been on stage in the UK, at least three more shows in the UK on the calendar this week. So it's likely Depp will stick around and perform through that run in the UK and skip out on the verdict here when it does come in. No word from his attorneys on this, but we'll wait and see. Of course, we talked about earlier some of the juicy news from last night that Kate Moss was spotted in the audience of the show, and according to the Daily Mail, was even backstage catching up with Depp. Of course, she giving some very high-profile testimony during the last week of this case last week. So, Jesse, that's the scene out here right now. We're waiting to see if we get any updates before the lunch hour. Yesterday, jurors broke for lunch just about 12:30.
And speaking of that, let's talk about the scheduling. Based on what happened yesterday, what can we expect in terms of the jury deliberating, their breaks, when they might go home, so we have a better understanding?
Yeah, so I just want to add one thing I forgot to mention, which is that Anjanette is inside talking to sources, and we have heard from sources that Amber's lawyers are saying she will be here when a verdict's read, that she is in the area. So we believe that she will come in when a verdict is reached. Now, as for the schedule, yesterday, as I said, they took a lunch break around 12:30. And remember, as Anjanette reported, we found out the judge isn't ordering lunch for anyone. These jurors are either bringing their own lunch or picking up some kind of box lunch. So they have a quick lunch break. They were back deliberating by about 1 o'clock, and it was just after 1 that we got the question yesterday. And then they called it right about 5 o'clock. My understanding is, there was a knock on their door. Do you guys want to continue for the day or wrap up for the day? And they were done for the day. The judge has said since deliberation started on day 1, she doesn't order dinner. So when the jurors have had enough for the day, they pack it in and go home. So, I imagine they'll follow a pretty similar schedule today, with the exception being perhaps if they feel they're very close to a verdict late in the day, perhaps they'll continue on to get it wrapped up today. But again, Jesse, we just don't know.
Still shocking to me about the lunch and the dinner. You can't. All the money in Fairfax. Look at the size of that courthouse. They can't chip in for a tuna salad, some pasta salad. What are we doing here?
Interesting tidbit, as you know, they have a pretty nice cafeteria downstairs.
They do.
Couldn't they at least send up some sandwiches from the cafeteria? So I don't know what's going on with that.
That is the biggest injustice I have seen coming out of the trial as of late. But Stacey Delicat, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, we're going to catch up with Stacey and Anjanette a little bit later on. Maybe Anjanette will have some details as she's been in the courtroom and the courthouse, learning a little bit more information. But we want to continue on focusing
on the people. Are there any restrictions on the jury? Linda?
Stacey, no, there are no restrictions on that. The only thing they can't do is with the notes. They will not get their note backs, okay? They will not get their notes back. Those get staved by the court and they get destroyed. Now, they can redo their notes so they went home every night and write what they remembered, and therefore sell maybe those the recollections. But with regard to anything else, they can talk freely. They have a First Amendment right to talk freely. All that can happen is you can't harass them as a lawyer. You can't go and harass them. No one should be harassing a jury anyhow. But they're free to talk and they're free to publish.
Okay, so, you know, and some very well might. This is a very high-profile case where there has been a lot of interest. I mean, right now, we've got about 1.5 million of you tuning into our YouTube channel. So thank you for sticking with Law and Crime for this and for these key moments. Again, you're looking at a live picture inside the courtroom right now where everyone is assembled. Just about 4 minutes to go until 3 o'clock when we expect to see the judge come in and call the jury in for the reading of this verdict. Linda, we know there are a bunch of questions. There were a bunch of points on the special verdict form. How long do you think this will take?
Well, you're going to get a feel right away because I have the special verdict form from Johnny Depp right in front of us because our producers are just so great in getting it. I also have the one for Amber Heard. The jury form is about 4 pages long. It will go pretty fast. It won't be longer than 10 minutes right here, and maybe less. If they find no calls of action, for instance, on 1A, if they answer to, do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation on that first quotation regarding sexual violence, then they don't answer the other questions. They go right to number 2. And if they don't find that, the likelihood is they won't find for him on any of them. And the same with Amber Heard. So it's going to be under 10 minutes, Stacey.
Okay, that's good to know. And just to remind our viewers what we expect to happen here, if this just takes 10 to 15 minutes, the jurors, once they're led back in the jury room, they'll later be dismissed. But we expect the legal teams for both sides will come out and give some remarks. Other players in this as well. Unclear whether anyone will hear anything from Amber Heard immediately after this. And by the way, if you look on the screen, she is seated there in the courtroom awaiting the verdict with the rest of us. An interesting question that we got from Haley Howell on Facebook. Has the judge already heard the verdict, or will she be hearing it for the first time when we do as well? Janine, do you want to take that one? Okay. Janine has left us. We thank her for her time. Linda, the judge is going to hear the verdict just when we do, right?
Stacey, I'm sorry. I thought Nima was going to field that one, but I'll field it. Yes,
the judge. Nima, please take it, Nima. Guys, I'm out here in our studio A. It's hot. It's humid. I can't see all of you in the monitor. So, Nima, please, will the jury hear? Will the judge rather be hearing the verdict for the first time when we do?
The judge is going to get to see it, I guess, maybe 30, 45 seconds before, and then at that point, yeah. So the judge will know right before we will.
Okay, so this is all kind of happening in real time, off the cuff here, and the judge will be finding out, you know, barely any time before the rest of us. Sarah Wilson on YouTube asked, are they going to show the courtroom when it's being read? Yes, Sarah, that's what you're seeing now on your screen is a live picture of the courtroom. You see the attorneys there, you see Johnny Depp's attorneys there, you see Amber's attorneys, and you see Amber herself. Again, for those of you who are just tuning in, because we have new people logging on every minute as we get closer and closer, literally 1 minute away from 3 o'clock. Johnny Depp, we have been told by sources close to him, obviously is not going to be here. He's not there now. He is still in the UK after doing a series of surprise performances with Jeff Beck. He is expected to stay there. His team said that he had prior commitments in the UK, and he will be watching the verdict from there. We'll see whether he issues any kind of comment, video statement. We just don't know what we'll hear from him, but we do expect we will hear from his legal team as soon as this is over. And again, our cameras outside of the courtroom on standby, where we have seen crowds growing, supporters, and so forth as we get ready for this verdict to be read. It is about 3 o'clock.
All right, are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. All right. Just for everybody in the gallery, reminder that this is a court of law, and regardless of the verdict, I will not tolerate any outbursts whatsoever. Okay? Thank you. I could have the attorneys approach for a moment.
All right, again, you're looking live in. Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I need you to do, I need to give the forms back to you. When you find for a defamatory statement, one or more, you need to fill out the compensatory damages. It has to be at least $1 for compensatory damages and up to whatever you feel the damages should be. Back to the operation room and do that for me, okay? All right, so we'll be in recess till we hear back from them. Don't go too far, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right.
Well, just as we were telling you, this could wrap up in just about 10 minutes by 3:10, 3:15. Not so fast. There was a little sidebar going on with the attorneys in the front. Apparently, the jurors didn't fill out the damages section. The judge now sending them back to complete this special verdict form, literally like a worksheet that they need to fill out. They didn't put in the damages. Linda, what do you make of that?
Well, Stacey, it means somebody won this case, that somebody won their defamation claims, right? Now, the fact that they didn't fill out the compensatory damages award, I think may bode well for Johnny Depp. The judge said it has to be at least $1. Usually you see if somebody wins, you have to fill out an award. Either that or somehow they both won, which I don't think is likely. But he was the one that didn't ask for damages, if you recall. He said, I'm not seeking damages. She asked for, I think it was $350,000 damages. So it sounds like someone won. It could be Johnny Depp because the jury may have telegraphed it by not filling out an award for damages. But under the law, at least has to be $1.
Right, so maybe they missed that instruction and just figured, oh, we're not awarding damages, so we're going to leave it blank.
That's right. That's what it could sound like.
Now, in the very unlikely event that they just forgot to do that section and they actually did intend for some kind of damages, we had a question from viewers earlier, which is what happens if there's a verdict, say, against Amber Heard and there's a judgment awarded for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard doesn't have that money, whether it's $50 million, whether it's $20 million, whether it's $10 million. What happens if she doesn't have that money, Linda?
Well, you know, we have that in many civil cases where the person that gets the verdict, they don't have, the defendant doesn't have the money, right? You can pursue her. It could be a claim that follows her around for the rest of her life. With it gets docketed, it gets logged. She could discharge it in bankruptcy, assuming it's against her. We're making a lot of assumptions. Maybe it's against him and it's $1. Who knows? But the likelihood is that with $1 verdict, the jury may just want to be sending a message for whoever wins. And again, we're assuming it's Johnny Depp, but it also could be Amber Heard because she was seeking damages. Maybe they found for her, but not giving them damages. We just don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know. I mean, this should be relatively quick, I would think, right? For them, if they've already decided on this and it was just an oversight that they didn't put anything in or didn't know that they had to write something. So, they hopefully will be back in a few minutes. As we've been telling our viewers, and more are tuning in, the verdict has not been read yet. Just to bring everyone up to speed, here's what happened. Right at 3 o'clock on the dot, the judge, she is very punctual. She came into the courtroom. Everyone stood up. She brought in the jury. There was a little sidebar between the attorneys up in front. They were looking, and they said, oh, guys, jurors, you didn't fill out the compensatory damages. You didn't fill that part out. There's nothing here. You have to go back to the jury room and fill this out. And so the jury was sent back out to take care of that, and that's what we're waiting for at this point. Again, Amber Heard, as you can see, is there in the courtroom with her attorneys. Johnny Depp is not here. His team having told us that because of prior commitments in the UK, which we know to be shows, he's playing music with Jeff Beck. He will be watching the verdict from the UK. So who knows? Maybe he's watching our coverage. If so, Johnny, call us. We want to do an interview with you as soon as this is all over. Linda, any final predictions here as we wait for word?
Well, it's very interesting with this possible dollar worth of damages. Now, but I have a question here, Stacey. I wonder if the teams know who the verdict was for, because remember, the judge brought them to the bench. They were looking through the verdict form. She obviously had to tell them that there was a verdict in favor of someone, but has to send them back for damages. We can't see the courtroom, so we can't see the body language or what's happening.
That's a good point.
So,
that is a good point.
I wonder whether they know who's won and who is lost, Stacey.
And if they did perhaps see that, I mean, would that be an issue? Would there be any sort of violation of rules or any ethics issues if they saw it before it was read out publicly in court?
Absolutely. Quite frankly, they have a right to see it and to tell their clients. So no, there's no violation. They have to know when the jury has filled out the forms, and they have to know is there a problem, because the judge has to tell them what she is going to do so they can either lodge an objection or not lodge an objection. And again, could they have just forgotten to fill it out? They may not have known that you just give $1 compensatory damages. Maybe it wasn't in the instructions. Quite frankly, I don't remember seeing it, but we should have one of our legal, eagle, fabulous people here that go through everything with a fine-tooth comb again to see whether there was an instruction about whether or not you had to award a compensatory damage of $1 if somebody wins.
Let me set the scene for those who are just tuning in. You're looking at a picture live outside the Fairfax County Courthouse here, where you see the crowds are growing. If you can hear in the audio behind me, there are helicopters circling up and above, local news helicopters taking pictures of the crowds. It was just, I think, gosh, I'm losing track already, but around 1:30 when we got word that a verdict was going to be read at 3 o'clock. At that point, it was basically just media hanging out outside trying to keep cool. As soon as we found out the verdict was coming, well, quickly, all the media assembled in their spots, and we started to see more and more cars pull up, more and more cars pull up into the parking lot, more fans come outside. Obviously, more people go inside the courtroom. You have to have one of these special wristbands in order to be in the courtroom or the overflow room. And now we see a much bigger crowd, which is probably going to continue to grow over the next few minutes. It's possible, since we now know that Johnny Depp is not coming, that some of the fans who were hoping to catch a glimpse after the verdict was read, they decided to sit it out because they know he's not here. Again, Amber Heard is there inside of the courtroom with her legal team. Unclear whether she'll make any kind of statement afterwards. As you can see in that picture outside the courtroom, there is a live picture. There is a podium, rather, set up with all the microphones. So as soon as the verdict's read and the legal teams come out and the other key players come out, we are going to be getting that reaction to you, those responses to you live. A little bit of behind-the-scenes info here. Our own Ann Jeanette has just stepped outside, so she's going to join me in just a second to give me the lowdown on what's going on inside, what the timeline is here, when we could see the jury back in the courtroom. But again, if you're just joining us, we were supposed to have the verdict read right at 3 o'clock. The judge did call the jury into the room right at 3 o'clock. Johnny Depp's legal team was there. Amber Heard and her legal team were sitting in there. But they looked at the paperwork, they looked at this special jury form, and someone said, oh, the judge said, oh, you guys forgot to fill out something pretty crucial here, because the damages page was left blank. And the attorneys had a little sidebar, and then the judge sent the jury back to fill in the damages. Ann Jeanette just sat down next to me. Ann Jeanette, tell me, what's going on in there? What was the vibe? What's going on?
Well, I think the vibe was, everybody, we're told that we're not allowed to talk to anybody in there, which, we're news people, so, and we're just human beings, right. So that's really difficult, so we got kind of shushed. But it was interesting because it was kind of heavy. Like, Amber Heard walked in, she kind of greeted her attorneys, wearing a black dress. Her hair kind of pulled back loosely. This is different from a lot of the times we've seen her come in with the braids. I couldn't see whether she smiled or anything like that, but she came in. Obviously, we know Johnny Depp had previously scheduled concerts with Jeff Beck in London, so he's not here.
Right.
He's watching, we're told, from the UK. So they came in, the jury walked in, they took their seats, they kind of just looked around slightly, not a lot, and then they just kind of focused on the judge. Judge Ascarati calls the lawyers up. She says, you have to assign damages. I think I can safely say if they didn't assign damages, and they were supposed to, they found defamatory statements, right?
Right. That's what we have been saying, you know, and Linda agrees with you too. Tell me, first of all, who's in the courtroom, in the audience? Is it a mix of media and regular people, onlookers? Is it completely packed?
You know, it's not as packed as it could be or as it has been. Like, there have been a lot of days where it's just totally packed. I was sitting next to a reporter from the UK, another reporter from Courthouse News. We were just, you know, we've talked a lot during this case. We saw some of the local, I would call like more local Depp fans here. I didn't see any Amber Heard supporters up there. That doesn't mean there might not have been one or two there, but I did not see them. And, you know, it's just kind of like, I felt like everybody's just kind of sitting there. They're waiting for the big news.
Yeah. And so it's like almost like, oh, false alarm. And you came back out here. Does that mean you don't think they're going to be back for a bit?
Well,
I felt
I should come out here, and sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath.
Yeah, and Antoinette has her tennis shoes on, by the way, so she is out running for you guys to get you everything you need to know. And don't forget, it's close to 100 degrees out here.
Yeah, it's
so
close
thank
to 100
you, Antoinette.
degrees, and I swapped the the sandals for the Brooks you know, sneakers. So, but I ran out of there as everybody else did. Got on the elevator, came out. They obviously have set things up much differently now at the press conference area, and they've put up the I forget what you call them, not barricades, but you know, yeah, the little. They've set it up so that the attorneys can walk out in a civilized manner and not be swarmed by people.
Right.
Because
there's barricades because they don't want people rushing them, and those barricades have been set up since yesterday in anticipation.
But this looks like almost like a red carpet or something. This is different than the barricades. This is like in front of the courthouse doors, and it's those things where you can kind of unhook the thing, the little ribbon thing, and you can unhook it. And they have those, and there are fans on both sides. So there are Depp supporters, it appears, on both sides.
Right, and we're showing our viewers that picture outside the courthouse right now. So, and by the way, I just want to say to everyone who's tuned in right now, we've got 2.7 million people watching us on YouTube. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Feel free to send in your questions, because while we wait, we want to answer more of your viewer questions. We've got, once again, our all-star panel. Linda Kenny-Bodden's with us in the studio. We've got other guests joining us. Obviously, Antoinette is here, so keep sending us your questions. And we are here to answer them. Now, it's funny, you know, you say it's almost like a red carpet. These lawyers have really attained celebrity status over the last 6+ going on 7 weeks of this trial. I mean, Camille Vasquez now has fans from all over.
That's
Talk
true.
a little bit about that, about sort of like the status that these lawyers have earned during this trial.
Yeah, and Ben Chu especially and Camille Vasquez have become celebrities. You know, TikTok started making videos about both of them. There have been plenty of moments in this trial that were comical, despite the very serious subject matter being discussed. But there have been some amusing moments, and they have become stars in their own right. They've become almost legal superstars. So they've become celebrities. There have been times out here when they've left court where I actually felt a little bit concerned because I felt like even
rise.
All right, Mr. Foreperson, is this the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
All right, is it unanimous? Yes. Thank you, sir. Jamie?
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition, quote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven by clear and convincing evidence that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, we've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. as against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
All right. Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 6. Yes. Juror number 10.
Yes.
Juror number 15.
Yes.
Juror number 16.
Yes.
Juror number 22. Yes. Juror number 27. Yes. Juror number 29.
Yes.
All right. I do find that the jury's verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your service in this case. I want to thank you again for your dedication and your hard work during this trial, and I know I speak for everybody here when I tell you that we appreciate your sacrifices and your time and your public service in this matter, okay? So I'm going to have you go back to the jury deliberation room for one more time, and then we'll release you from there, okay? All right, thank you. All right. Okay. In accordance with law, I will amend the punitive damages award to the statutory cap of $350,000 on Mr. Depp's award, okay? I will set this down for entry of an order, and can we do it on June 24th at 10 a.m. if that's available? All right,
Yes,
if Mr. Chu, if you could prepare that order and then circulate it to Ms. Bretterhoff, and we can have all the objections noted on it. All right?
We'll do that, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right, and if I get it before that date, I'll take it off the docket, okay? All right, again, thank you to all the attorneys for your professionalism, and you're welcome to come to my courtroom anytime. Well, give me a few weeks, but then you can come anytime, okay? All right, court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Outside the courtroom where you can see these fans. As I said, every time a judgment was read, in favor of Johnny Depp. A huge crowd, cheers, went up here. The crowd cheering, Johnny, Johnny. Clearly heavily tilted in favor of Johnny Depp outside the courtroom right now. And so they're still standing outside. I imagine they are going to be here waiting for Johnny Depp's legal team to come out. As I was talking about just a few minutes ago with Anjanette, the lawyers themselves have basically earned celebrity status during the course of this trial. The judge sending the jurors back into the jury room one more time before they are dismissed. Linda, do you think we're going to hear anything from Amber Heard?
Well, she came to the courthouse, so I assume that she will give a press conference. So they'll say they're going to appeal the verdict. They'll say that she was vindicated. Remember, this case has a lot of spin going on with it. But she's going to be asked the question: is how do you feel about the jury not believing your claims against Johnny Depp that he is he was the abuser? It turns out he was the victim, and she's not going to be happy with that question. I don't think there's an answer she can give that can spin that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's no question we're going to hear from her legal team. Maybe they'll take some questions. My guess is if she were to come out, and that's a big if because this is a pro-Johnny Depp crowd out here, if she were to come out, maybe she would make a brief prepared statement and then be like immediately ushered into a car by security. I don't think she's going to be doing any kind of press conference answering any major questions right now. Depp's team, on the other hand,